welcome back to the Rangers News YouTube channel. My name's James Black and I'm joined by Cameron Willis as we have a wee chat about a rather big talking point that's emerged this afternoon. The club put out a statement earlier on confirming that George Edmundson and Jordan Jones have been suspended pending a formal investigation and have also been ordered to self-isolate the club doctor Mark Waller for 14 days after they breached COVID guidelines by attending a house party last night. There's also reports that they were fined by Police Scotland over it. Those haven't been confirmed. The police are just saying that there was 10 individuals who were fined at a gathering in Devonshire Terrace in Glasgow on Sunday night. So the club statement certainly didn't mince their words. Stuart Robertson, the managing director, saying that the chairman, Douglas Park, Ross Wilson, Stephen Gerrard and I discussed this matter as soon as it was brought to our attention. We are completely aligned in our action and the standards that have been set at Rangers. We will not tolerate behaviour that does not follow these standards, and it is totally unacceptable for any of our players to be involved in anything that puts at risk the excellent protocols that have been put in place at Rangers. So both players are going to be out for 14 days at least, with disciplinaries likely to come on top of that. The first, Cammy, just what was your initial reaction when you seen the story breaking this afternoon?
I couldn't believe it, man. I think everything was going so well. You know what I mean? It's just same usual. Something's always around the corner with Rangers, man. But everything was going so well. Everything's going well on the pitch. Players look determined. They look focused. They look concentrated. As far as we're aware, everything with regards to COVID-19 has been above board at Rangers. There's a seriousness to everything. And then these two guys come in and do this, like go away at parties, and absolutely unbelievable. I actually can't believe it. The more and more that you think about it, the more and more kind of angry it gets you. I think that when you look at what's at stake this season, and not just in terms of the Rangers, but in terms of the manager, the guy that brought him to the club. I mean, Stephen Gerrard's obviously came under pressure last season. He's got to deliver this season as well. You know what I mean? And Rangers obviously want to win 55. They want to stop them achieving their holy grail. It's such a massive season. We need to stay within the bubble. We need to concentrate. We need to get it over the line. Fans are locked out. We're expecting these players to carry the flag for us and stuff. And it's just shocking. It's verging on unforgivable. I don't know what's going to happen next, but it's absolutely out of order. It's outrageous. It's at least another 8 people they were mixing with in a house party for what? Do you know what I mean? Like, and the thing is, imagine they never got caught. Like, imagine they never got caught. They come into training, they spread COVID around, it impacts the squad. God forbid it would affect somebody really badly, but at the very minimum, it would rule players out. You know what I mean? It would seriously impact our title chances, impact this, which there's thousands, tens of thousands of people are hanging their hopes on in what is a really difficult time for everybody, just to go to a party. It's boggles the mind. It's utter stupidity. It's ridiculous. It's shameful.
I picked up a thing on Twitter this afternoon, just kind of some of the reactions for the Rangers fans. And just it was something you said there, and it was one that I'd picked up, was that it's unforgivable. It's one of these things where these are guys who, and I can say with absolute certainty here that it has been drilled home to these players to beyond any shadow of a doubt how important the season is and how important that the players abide by all the guidelines and regulations, everything else that's set down for them. You kind of compare these two half-wits with Jermaine Defoe last night. So anybody that's on Instagram will have probably seen Defoe was on Instagram last night, sitting in his flat himself with some tunes on and just answering stuff for fans. Now, if it's good enough for somebody like Defoe to sit on his own, and to the best of my knowledge, like he's not got an entourage round about him up here. He's very much kind of on his own. If he can do that, where are these two clowns playing at?
They're not even in the team either.
Exactly. It's two guys that aren't even in the team. You could kind of almost get it if it was two young guys who've been in the team, they've been having some really good performances, and they maybe got a wee bit carried away with themselves. This is two guys who can't even get into the European squad. And they're rating the piss like they're Billy Big Boss. It's like, no, just no. For me, there's going to be a formal investigation according to the club, so we're going to likely see some kind of sanctions against them. We've seen chat up to and including them being sacked, which for me, I don't think it'll happen. I don't think they'll sack them just because the potential for it to happen with somebody else down the line. You kind of make a rod for your own back. But I mean, what do you think kind of should be the club's actions?
I don't know. I still just a little bit astounded that it's happened to him. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my entire, like, honest to God, everything was, like I say, was going so well. I don't know what should happen. I think that in the short term they're going to be booted out of the team. I don't think that they're going to get a game. I mean, see, especially for somebody like Jones, who'd obviously been in the background, and then he was kind of posting stuff on social media in the summer, and he obviously had that tackle again in the Celtic game last season. And he finally manages to fight his way back into the team just to go to a house party. I mean, you know what I mean? I'm like laughing, but it's not funny. It could have had such amazingly far-reaching consequences. I mean, if either of them ends up testing positive for COVID during the quarantine, I mean, that just shows you how severe it could have been. But what should happen to them? I don't know. It's difficult because I think Jones was on the fringes anyway. I think it might have been last chance saloon for him. I think there was maybe a few kind of murmurs of discontent or whatever, and I think maybe that's his last chance shattered with Gerrard. I don't know though, because I'm not within the team. I think with Edmundson, is he 3 or 4 years? Jones is
I think he signed a 4-year deal, Edmundson.
but I mean, is he like he's younger than Jones anyway?
Oh yeah. Jones is, I think,
26.
26. Oh, yeah, I think Edmundson's only 21, 22.
Yeah.
So there's a good few years between them.
See him. I think. I mean, the thing is as well. We spent £650,000 on him. We spent money on him. He likes the club. You can see that there was a clear pathway for Edmundson. When perhaps somebody, I don't know, like Goldson or whatever, would maybe go on to the Premier League or something. Maybe the view was with him coming in and establishing himself maybe a year or two down the line. So it's difficult in that sense as well. What do you just get rid of the player? I mean, I don't know. It's difficult because there's so much emotion, but it's so hard because in these situations, I think that it's a case of the what if is just as bad as what's happened. Do you know? Because the only reason why it's been blown up is because he's been caught. Imagine he hadn't been caught and something else had happened and it completely jeopardised the season. I mean, that is the issue here. It's the impact. It's the long-standing impact this could have potentially had. I mean, were they going to rock up to training tomorrow morning? Because I know the players had the day off. Were they going to rock up to training tomorrow morning, not tell anyone, nursing the tail end of a hangover, start playing football, start mixing with everybody again? Were they genuinely going to do that? Like that's insane.
Well, that's the thing, and the even probably more galling aspect of it is the fact that they're not going to be involved in it. Like, regardless of what had happened, whether they went to a house party or not last night, they're not going to be involved in the next game because it's Benfica and neither's in the European squad.
Maybe that's why they done it then.
That's kind of what my thinking was. That they've kind of been like, well, we've kind of got a week off this week, so we can kind of go out and we'll have a couple of beers and whatever else, and they've kind of ripped the piss a little. But at the same time, it's just
piss full stop. It's kind of in the middle of a pandemic. I mean, it's illegal
well,
for you to do that, but me and you don't play for Rangers. Me and you don't have like the kind of hopes of tens of thousands of people. Me and you aren't getting paid thousands of pounds a week. Me and you aren't playing for fucking Rangers. We aren't operating inside a bubble. Do you know? It's they should be at home. It's as simple as that. They've got a professional responsibility to the football club, and they've breached it. And what do you think should happen?
I think they'll get Gers done. That's kind of my expectation. Because I sat and thought about it, and we've never really seen Gerrard have to deal with that much discipline-wise. Like, I know focal point to Morelos, but that's no that kind of discipline. I mean like the actual proper like employment side of things, rather than you've been a bit of an arse on the pitch and got a red card. The only one we've really had been Grester, and for want of better words, he didn't mess about. He was very, very down the line. You've overstepped the mark, and now you're gone.
The boy at Ballymena United.
Yeah, and I think that's roughly how it's going to go. Because I think Jones was already in the last chance saloon. between his Old Firm tackle, his day in court where he's driving stuff at the start of the summer, there's too many black marks against his name now where you start to go, the hassle's no worth what you get. Edmundson
as well. See when the club are hitting out with that standard stuff, that's when you know that it could potentially go down that line, because that's the rhetoric they're saying, and that's what they've done.
Yeah, with the club saying like that they won't tolerate it at all, and also just them making it says that there'll be a formal investigation. To me, that just kind of makes it scream that they're going further down the line of actually looking at whether it's like a proper formal written warning or final written warning, rather than just being a kind of internal 2-week fine that goes to, the Christmas night out kitty like you normally get.
What about Edmundson? Sorry, I cut you off.
I think Edmundson might get a wee bit more slack just on the strength. I think like they both probably get to final straw and you're out on your arse if somebody comes in. But Edmundson will be given that a little bit more scope to just show that it's been a one-off mistake. I don't think Jones has kind of got that kind of goodwill with people at the club anymore. I think he's kind of burned that up already. I mean, it's his third strike now, whereas Edmundson is probably only his first. So I think he might get a wee bit more leeway, but I do expect that it will be a long time before we see either playing for Rangers again, if ever.
It's just idiocy, man. Just absolute idiocy. I think a lot of fans as well have been out kind of commending the club for dealing with it so quickly and being so public about it. I think that was the right move. I think the way they handled it was the right move. I mean, there's only so much the club can do. I mean, the club's going to get fined, right? Because obviously Aberdeen and Celtic got fined for COVID breaches. So precedent's been set. They'll get fined. Talk of points deductions and that, it's just doolally. None of the players are going to have to self-isolate. As far as we know, it was only Jones and Edmundson at the party, and they haven't mixed with any other players. So it's not going to directly impact our preparations other than just be negative press that kicks up a stink at a time when everything seemed to be going so good. Everything's pulling in the right direction. We've built such an amazing foundation this season, and just to jeopardise it is just so stupid. But Rangers have done everything that they can. They've suspended him. They're going to launch an investigation. Like you say, I'm sure that it'll be quite harsh, the outcome as well. I tend to agree with you as well. I think maybe Jones is a little bit spent in that regard. Although I think some of the reporting and stuff maybe has been a little bit unfair and maybe been a little bit OTT with regards to him, because I don't know enough about his relationship with the backroom staff, etc. But perhaps maybe just going on what's out there, he's maybe kind of spent his last penny or whatever. But Edmundson, I think, I mean, Edmundson was such an exciting, useful prospect. I think that it's just over something just so stupid. As well, the two guys play for Rangers, right? You know what I mean? People have like Instagram stories, things like that. They're going to a party with like other people. I don't know if they're bound to be in the same age group as them, which is what, mid-20s. They're bound to be using these things. What they're going to be like? They're obviously going to be like photographed at the thing. I'm like, this is insane. This is utterly insane. The more and more you think about it, the more and more ridiculous it becomes. And when you think about it in context of the season, the more and more your blood kind of boils a wee bit with it as well. But thankfully, there's going to be no real kind of backdraft other than what goes towards them. And obviously the fine that comes to Rangers, and the fact that, well, if there is such a thing in the eyes of the SFA or the Scottish Government with regards to this COVID stuff, that we've now got a black mark against their name when we hadn't before. Yeah. Thankfully, it's not going to directly impact us in the pitch, and it's two players who, like you say, are on the fringes, but just absolute stupidity. And the thing is, the rumour mill's obviously going into overdrive as to why they were there and what they were up to in that, but insane.
I think that sums it up perfectly there, Cammy. It's absolute stupidity. But thankfully, we move on to Thursday night in Benfica. So hopefully we'll be able to kind of put this all behind us, and we'll kind of be back in the positives on Thursday night, and then we can look forward to the football again.
Aye, well, I mean, it's just been about the football the entirety of the last 2-3 months. It's just all been about just every hurdle will overcome, everything, just Rangers focus, arrow in, eyes on the prize, and then this. But I think it'll just be a blip. I think that when it first happened, like, Rangers fans are emotional, you know what I mean? And they should be, because it's something that's so important to everybody at the minute. And us getting success this season and to jeopardise it like that is just feels like a slap in the face, you know. And I think that whilst there was a lot of emotion this morning and stuff, I think that it will cool down, but I don't think Jones and Edmundson are going to get off scot-free at all. I think that
No.
if they are to be kind of shoehorned back in, I think that they've got a hell of a lot of making up to do with Rangers fans.
That's fantastic. Well, let us know what you think in the comments, and remember to like and subscribe. Have a look back through some of our older videos, and we'll be back later in the week with some build up to the Benfica game. So thanks for watching.